been at Salesforce about 13 years. And which is wild when I think about it, not nearly as long as some of your fearless leaders out there. But yeah, I've been able to kind of build this whole program to help serve Salesforce administrators, to enable people to become Salesforce administrators, to do more things with our platform, to really empower folks with what kind of expand what you think you can do as a Salesforce admin. And so in that capacity, there's a couple of really cool things and pieces of the program that my team and I have developed. And so I'm here today to share a little bit about one of those that I think is pretty exciting and hopefully will be helpful to you all. So let me share my screen here. Hold on 1 second. Here, and then let's do a slideshow. All right. Hopefully it will load. There we go. Can you all see my slide?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So one of the things that our team has focused on a lot is skills. So specifically talking about kind of those non-technical skills that enable you to really be an amazing Salesforce administrator. So what I am going to share with you is a presentation I put together for a program that we have called Salesforce Pathfinder. Like quick, thumbs up or raise of hands if anyone heard of this program before. Maybe a little bit. So this is a program, one of the many programs that we run through kind of our Trailhead team to kind of help people get skilled up and learn about opportunities in the Salesforce ecosystem. Specifically today, I'm going to share this presentation with you because I think it's really interesting to think about, especially if you're not even just not for admins, but if you're a BA, if you're an architect, if you're
have your slippers on.
Yeah, someone put your slippers on. That's good. I don't have any slippers on. So as all of you may have seen 1,000 times, I have to do this because I'm a Salesforce employee. Forward-looking statement reminder that you should only make purchasing decisions on currently available features and functionality. If I had 1 penny for every time I had to say this slide or speak to it, I would be so rich. Okay. So as I mentioned, I'm an admin evangelist is my title at Salesforce. And really my whole purpose is to enable, empower, and inspire people like you to be amazing Salesforce administrators, to transform your companies, your careers, and your communities with Salesforce. And so to start with every presentation, especially, I really am grateful to be here to be part of your user group today. I've never been to Ottawa. I've been to Toronto once. So now I'm like, it's on my list. I want to go to Ottawa, not when it's snowing though. I would prefer to avoid that. Maybe in the summer. I heard it's beautiful. So I'll put it on my list for then. But thank you for taking the time today to be part of this community, to show up. I know we're all really busy. We have a lot of things going on. So taking this moment today to be here, invest in yourself, to invest in the Salesforce community is really important. So give yourself a little pat on the back. I have gratitude for you and investing in yourself and investing in the community, and huge shout out to the organizers for organizing this. Thank you for reaching out. Okay. And also, so on another note too, really, I don't have a job if you don't exist, to be very clear. So the whole reason that I have a job is because of the Salesforce technology that all of you have formed and shaped over the years. So many of the features and the things that are in the Salesforce platform only exist because of the feedback that you've provided us throughout the years. So Salesforce only exists because of the feedback. Therefore, it's the only reason I have a job. So thank you for keeping me employed. All right, so let's get into it. Now, I heard a couple people identify as Salesforce administrators on the call, a couple people kind of new in their career, and some very seasoned folks. So the reason that our team really focuses on Salesforce admins is for one special reason, right? Being a Salesforce admin in the Salesforce ecosystem is really unique, right? There's very few other platforms that have that Salesforce administrator role, right? Where you can have you basically have this business expertise and you have this technical expertise, and you don't have to have, coding experience, or you don't have to have a computer science degree in order to understand how to use a platform and build really interesting things. That's one of the really special things about using Salesforce. And so that role of being a Salesforce administrator is really critical, and it's different. And so over the years, the role of what a Salesforce administrator is has shifted and changed and evolved as the technology's evolved, as the economy's evolved. And so a couple of years ago, my team and I and across the ecosystem were hearing loud and clear feedback that the old school definition of what a Salesforce admin is was outdated. And there were job descriptions that were asking for things that Salesforce admins didn't think that they needed. And there were employers looking for what they thought was a Salesforce admin, but they were actually looking for something else. So we did a lot of research. We took about a year and a half, almost 2 years, and did a lot of focus groups, did a lot of surveys, did a lot of talking with workforce development organizations to kind of hone and really nail down what it is to be a Salesforce administrator. And so we came up with this kind of broad-based definition that a Salesforce administrator solves business problems by customizing the Salesforce platform. But then we wanted to that's great, cool, understand. You match the technology with the business problems and you make the magic happen. But we wanted to drill down really specifically and get into the nitty-gritty of what exactly does that look like? What are the skills? What are the responsibilities? So the first level here is the responsibilities, right? And this hopefully sounds really familiar to all of you. If you think about the work that you do, I hope that you can kind of figure out how to categorize your work into these kind of 4 buckets. But supporting users, managing data, maintaining security standards, and then delivering actionable analytics. Those are the 4 core responsibilities that really came out loud and clear from all of our research about what a Salesforce administrator actually does. So we wanted to get even a little further into the weeds, right? What exactly does this mean? Now, we have Trailhead. Trailhead is amazing. It's very clear what technology skills you need to be a Salesforce administrator, right? We have the Salesforce admin exam, which I heard someone preparing for. I wish you don't even need luck. If you study, you're going to get it. And I will tell you, I did not pass the admin exam the first time I took it. I don't even want to tell you how many years ago, but I took it again and was able to pass it. But the technology skills that you need to be an admin are pretty clear, right? You can go learn them on Trailhead. They're very well laid out. What's not in there is what these business skills are that you need to be a successful admin. What are the things beyond just knowing how to build a flow or customize a page that really make you successful as an admin? And so that's what we wanted to nail down. And what we came out with our research were these 14 skills that help a Salesforce admin really shine. And you might say 14 is a lot. And yes, it's a lot, but this is not an exhaustive list, right? It's not like you have to have all of these, but these are areas in which if you have the skills and you specialize them and you develop them are really going to help you be successful as a Salesforce admin. So things like product management, user management, data management, change management, project management, security management, business analysis. I remember I hear someone in the intro saying that you're a BA looking to become an admin. Awesome. You're going to be set up for you're going to be set up really well to really be an amazing Salesforce admin. Things like process automation, designer's mindset, data analysis, problem solving, communication, learner's mindset, attention to detail. These are the 14 skills that came out of this research that we decided to kind of really focus on and then talk about what it means to have these skills in the context of being a Salesforce professional. So we developed a whole skills kit to help everybody understand what these are, what they look like. And of course, everyone needs more Gillian's face on everything. Every time I show this slide, I'm like, this is just a lot. So the Salesforce Admin Skills Kit is a tool that we've developed, and it's on the admin website. I'm going to show it to you in just a second here. And what it does is it kind of took all of this research and we put some real context behind it, and it's supposed to be like an interactive tool to help you. So let me go ahead and get out of my presentation and show you a demo, because that's what we like to do here. Okay, can everyone still see my screen? Thumbs up? Yep, perfect, awesome. Okay. So if you haven't seen this, this is my favorite website, admin.salesforce.com. And you can find a lot of great resources on here. We talked about podcasts earlier. You can find the Salesforce Admin podcast on here. But what I want to focus on is the skills kit. So under career development, you'll see we've got our Salesforce Admin Skills Kit. Once you open that up, you get an introduction video, which you're getting this personalized introduction video right now, so you don't need to watch that again. But what we really have here is outlining what the skills kit is for. So it's for 3 audiences. So it's for people who are looking to get a Salesforce administrator job. So if you're looking to kind of what skills should you focus on? What should you develop? How can you represent those skills on a resume and in a job interview? It's also for employers. So if you're looking to hire admins, you might be thinking, how do I write a job description looking for a Salesforce administrator? I know that I have been pinged about this countless times over the years, and we don't have a template for it, but now we actually do have some sample language and some structure around how you can do that and target the right kind of skills, the right kind of person that you need for the job. And then it's for people who are already Salesforce administrators, or even if you're just a Salesforce professional, not even exclusive to an admin, these are going to be really helpful to you, because what it does is it puts all the work that you're doing into like really actionable context. So let's say that you're looking for that next promotion and you're trying to understand, how do I represent all of this work that I've been doing for my organization in a way that shows them really the impact that I'm providing, that I'm delivering. This is going to be a helpful tool for you to do that and capture that work. So the next thing on this page is we've got our 14 skills. So each of the 14 skills has its own little card here. When you click on one of the cards, let's click into business analysis, since we talked about that. You've got 3 sections here, right? So this first section is for people who are looking to get a Salesforce admin job, or if you're looking on ways to how to represent the skill, maybe to your employer, to your team, when you're looking for that promotion. And this is literally sample language to help you understand how to display this skill in that context. I'm going to go into some more detailed examples of this like further in the presentation, but I just wanted to give you an overview of basically the product before we're going to get into the content. But the next tab you'll see is for employers. So this is going to be, how would you write a job description targeting someone who has business analysis skills? And then finally, resources. And so this is the section where if you're someone looking to develop these skills, these are resources not exclusively on Trailhead. So there's lots of great stuff on Trailhead, but also beyond Trailhead to help you understand how you can further develop those skills. Okay, so that's the really quick demo. I'm going to go back into my presentation here. And let's see. There we go. Okay. So hopefully that all got you really excited, and maybe like you're on your second screen, like already going on to admin.salesforce.com, which is totally acceptable. If you're going to do dual screen distraction, I approve of that one for this presentation. So, okay. So like I said, this is really a blueprint, right? So this is to help job seekers and employers understand the skills required to be a successful Salesforce admin in today's economy and today's industry. I talked about this in the demo. It's so for job seekers, this is really there's going to be 3 categories of things here that really are going to be helpful for you. I really recommend first you take an inventory of how to discover your skills, like which skills on that list of 14 do you think you already have? And then which skills might you want to learn? What's on that list that maybe you don't feel really comfortable about, or you haven't had a lot of exposure to, that you maybe want to dig into a little further? And then taking all of that, how do you write your resume, right? So this is really meant to help you do all of those 3 things. So let's dig into this if you're a job seeker, right? So really the intention is to use this as a guide to discover your skills first, right? Take an inventory, like what do you already do? What skills do you already have? And it might take a second to kind of understand this. One thing I want us all to really think about, especially those of you who are maybe kind of trying to switch careers and get into the Salesforce ecosystem, or maybe if you're looking to kind of take a slightly different role in the Salesforce ecosystem, is the idea of transferable skills, right? We all have skills that we've developed outside of our like quote unquote professional careers, right? Or in different industries or in different types of jobs. And there's a lot of ways that you can use this skills kit as a way to identify those transferable skills and then literally translate that skill set you have from another non-Salesforce related role into what that would look like once you get your Salesforce related role. So a couple examples here, right? So communication and learner's mindset are 2 skills on the Salesforce admin skills kit. Let's say that you are someone working in retail, right? Before you wanted to get into the Salesforce ecosystem. So if you're working in retail, working in a retail store, right? Communication might look like, you're working with managers and suppliers and customers to ensure a positive in-store experience, right? Okay, well, you could translate into those skills into communication skills that would speak to a Salesforce administrator role, right? Because that is all about collaborating with your business and technical stakeholders to design and configure and implement Salesforce. Really relatable to that experience that you had as like an in-store retail professional. Let's talk about learner's mindset, right? So if you're in a store trying to sell people stuff, it's really your job to keep up with the latest trends and innovations in your industry and demonstrate that you've got knowledge by sharing that with colleagues. Well, that's very directly relatable to what a learner's mindset would look like in a Salesforce professional job, right? Because one of the things that you'll quickly learn about Salesforce, if many of us who've been in the ecosystem for a long time know, Salesforce likes to continuously innovate and change. So you have to constantly stay up to date with what's new, what's changing, and finding ways to use that to inspire others to kind of do the same, keep up to date, get interested, be curious, and learn. So those are just a couple of examples of transferable skills. And I'm more than happy to dig more into this, but I think this is a really important thing for all of us to think about, no matter where we are in our career, to really shape the experience that you have for the experience that you want to have. Okay, with that, let's talk about how you would use this to learn new skills, right? So you're looking at the list, there's a couple things on there that might look a little out of your typical range. For example, let's talk about maybe business analysis, right? I heard there was definitely some business analysis already on the call, but if you are interested in learning more about business analysis, and we have this for every single skill on the skills kit, you can really use this as a resource to learn more. So everything from understanding from what a Salesforce, so for example, we have article here from a Salesforce professional who is also a BA, lots of years of experience, and has talked about how the BA experience has helped her be a better Salesforce administrator. There is some technical stuff here. So learning how to do business process mapping, which is part of being a good business analysis professional. And then we've got great content too. We've got a podcast with Tiffany Thomas, who talks about what it's like to really have that business analysis mindset as you are a Salesforce administrator. So another example. So these are all the resources that you'll see in the skills kit, but for product management, right? That might sound a little intimidating if that's something you've not typically done before. But there are a lot of resources to help you actually, first of all, realize you probably have done some of this before. And then here are some ways that you can further hone that. And again, these are resources that are on Trailhead. There are resources that are stories from other folks and tips and advice. And with this, you're also going to get access to experts in this space that I promise you, if you wanted to reach out to Renee, who's on the Salesforce Governance podcast, and ask hey, how do you get better at this? I promise you, he will respond to you. So these are all really good resources for you to, again, further develop the skill and maybe push yourself to learn something that before you may have not felt super comfortable. Okay. The final thing, writing your resume, right? So this applies to anyone who's also trying, again, look for that promotion or that next role, because this is a great guide to help you do that. So for example, it's a problem solving. How might you represent the problem solving skill on your resume? It sounds a little I don't know, I'm a good problem solver. Okay, you can go into more detail than that and give some more teeth to it. And these are some of the examples, right? So you can talk about how you've worked closely with your stakeholders to troubleshoot and resolve issues. You can talk about how you've set up monitoring for daily jobs in Salesforce to look for issues, or you can put some real data behind it, right? You delivered X number of projects and collaborated with X number of teams to really demonstrate your ability to kind of take a situation and put some structure around solving it and delivering results. User management's another fun one, right? We can all say, yeah, I manage X users. Okay, but you can go beyond that, right? I think the biggest thing here is really to really put a story behind how you're talking about these skills and what you can do and what you have done. And so it's not just supporting X number of users, but it's, acting as a subject matter expert, really being the go-to person for all things Salesforce, talking about the kind of user experience you've designed and implemented, how you've worked with your users to get that feedback, talking about how your implementation and adoption strategy has gone, talk about how you put up a program behind that, delivering workshops, training materials. And then you can even put some numbers around the impact of that. It went from, 25% adoption to 75% adoption, or, you're an awesome admin, so of course it's going to be 100%, right? But yeah, I think so these are just some examples. And that was that. So I'm going to I'm not going to belabor this, but I would love to take some questions. Just kind of some top 5 tips to get the most out of the skills kit. The first one is familiar yourself familiarize yourself with the 14 skills, but don't treat it as like a one size fits all, right? Like you don't need all of the skills, and do not try to put all of them on your resume or your promotion document or in your job description. Like that is just, no, don't do that. If I see that, I'm going to yell at you. You need to focus on what's most important, what you want to do and what you want from that potential teammate. And use the examples as a starting point. Like if you cut and paste, it's going to be kind of obvious if you cut and paste, but customize it for your specific experience, but definitely use them as a template. I mean, that's why they're there. It's kind of a jumping off point, right? And then transferable skills, I think those are so important. So please do not discount your past experience. Do not discount, stuff that you did outside of the professional realm. Think about what those things are that you might be able to pull in and build upon to really set yourself apart, and also to really make your experience richer and provide a more like robust skill set to your team or your potential employer. And with that, I am going to stop presenting because I hope y'all have some questions. So let me stop the share. Okay, bring them on.
Gillian, that was awesome. That was super great. I'd seen some swag, I suppose, coming out from Salesforce. It was an admin's playing deck, like a playing card deck, and it had a lot of these elements on it. I thought it was really, really cool. Do you know if that's available on the Salesforce store if people wanted to go and buy it?
Yeah, so we made those for Dreamforce and they were wildly popular. And I have been pushing to try and get those on the store. So I will use that comment as ammo. Thank you, Sandy. I will say people want this. But yeah, those cards are great. And they like all the 14 skills are on the cards. They have fun trailhead characters all over them. But they're useful because they actually put the skills and they kind of put like the definitions and all of that on there. And sometimes I did a little tiny workshop, but like a couple months ago with a very small group of folks who all had the cards because they were at, TDX just happened. Dreamforce seems like a year ago. And we did this exercise where it was like, okay, so you have these 14 cards with the physical skills representing them. Why don't you pick out all of the skills you think that you already have and put them in a pile, and pick out all the skills that like you think you're lacking and put them in another pile. And then kind of looking at there and like, how can you, okay, the skills that you don't think you have, let's talk about that. Why don't you think you have that skill? What are some of the things you've done in the past that might demonstrate that skill? And then let's talk about that. Like they can be used as a pretty good tool. So yes, I will put another heavier ask to make sure that we can get those available.
Just to follow up on that, did you find that there was a particular area where people felt they wanted to spend more attention learning, or was there a gap in knowledge?
So it's interesting. I have talked about some form of this skills kit for the last couple of years. And the biggest things I think that pop out to me are often people don't believe they have product management experience. I think that's one that can be incredibly powerful once you understand what that is, and then maybe how to like get some practice with that before technically having it, because that will set you apart in a big way. I think another thing is a lot of like kind of the data analysis piece of it. So there's data analysis, and then there's what was the other one? But there are a couple, data analysis and data management. And understanding the differences between the two and how you can combine them really to tell a really powerful story about what you can do. I think those are the ones that kind of pop out to me the most.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I have more questions, but I don't want to make sure the floor is open for everyone.
I have a comment. So it's not a question, but I just want to echo your presentation is like about the learner mindset. Just from my personal experiences, like Salesforce like evolving such fast way, and helping in this ecosystem, I will say for almost 10 years, and fully like as a working in this ecosystem, the rate of the change is just unbelievable. From I just think about the from classic to lightning. I feel like just yesterday, but it's already been many years, right? Like widely adopted, new platform like for people to step on. But I still remember the first time I was working in Salesforce, still like classic at that time. And when you talk about classic nowadays, probably a lot of people they don't know if they just join, right? And also like all the functionality, all the new features, like putting out every release, like 3 years a time. Like from the product innovation perspective, it's amazing, but from like a learner perspective, it's just so exhausting to learn. A lot thing to catch up. Like yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so it's hard for me too, right? Because especially with kind of the inclusion of like Tableau and Slack and MuleSoft, like our team is struggling to get like we're not experts in that, but we have to represent the admin experience, and like that's all part of this like one Salesforce like thing, right? A thing, whatever. I don't know. I know this is recorded, but don't show it to my bosses. So I think it's really hard. And honestly, so right now I am the one who's in charge of creating all the release readiness materials for admins for summer 23. I have a lot of catch up to do, right? So I'm literally going through right now, like the first version of the release notes and talking to all the product management teams to understand what has changed, why is it important, all of that. And it's a lot. I mean, I literally have about 15 different contacts with even just that are like kind of, I count in my inner circle of like product folks that I check in with, and that covers this much of the platform. And so I feel your pain. I think the thing that has helped me and the way that I've seen other people kind of think about it is in buckets, right? So there's an automation bucket. There's like a user access and permissions bucket. There's like kind of a UX design bucket. There's kind of a performance bucket. And so when I think about it in that context, it helps to kind of focus a little bit of like, okay, what are the changes within this bucket that are going to affect me and my users that I need to pay attention to? Whereas if you're like, I need to know everything about Marketing Cloud, or I need to know everything about CPQ, or I need to know everything about, Lightning Web Components, like it can be, you can go down the rabbit hole. But really, I think for me, thinking about the buckets and then what's the important things that I need to know out of that, like what are the things I care about? And then if there's something else that interests me, I will totally go down the rabbit hole and get all nerdy with it. But then there's also people in the community, especially who are experts in those areas that I can rely on. I mean, we hired Jennifer Lee on our team for a reason, right? Like she is the queen of all things automation. And even she's having a hard time keeping up, especially with kind of the MuleSoft and Composer piece of it. So I think this is really one of the things where you can lean on the power of the community and lean on the fact that like everyone's in the same boat. No one's expecting you to be the expert on everything. So that's a long-winded way of explaining how I feel your pain. And that's how I think about it.
It's not a complaint at all, but it's just it's amazing like how fast the things like involve and new technology, right? Also like I was like for some of the people, they are still like new to the ecosystem. I cannot emphasize enough about the Trailhead, which is such an amazing tool and platform. I cannot recall any other technology platform has this tool available to the users. This is the only Salesforce is the only platform, open this kind of opportunity to everybody. You can learn if you want. The Trailhead is really, really amazing. I learned from it so much on my own. Yeah.
And when you put the Trailhead with the community, it's like,
right.
Yeah.
You're all here. You know the power of the community. This is good.
Gillian, I was wondering if you'd be willing to pop that URL for the admin site that you were just walking us through for the benefit of our group, just in the chat. I was thinking, Timoteo, especially considering what you were just sharing, that you're coming in, this is going to be a great tool set for you.
No,
I was thinking about what you're both just talking about the speed of how things are coming out from Salesforce, new improvements all the time, and just even when you're an admin, you'll look back and you will see remnants of classic, which is like still way back to classic email templates, right? It's almost like Salesforce is creating things so quickly that it's trying to catch up with itself to bring it forward, but it's exciting. I'm wondering if you're, Gillian, this question for you, if you're working on preparing for the release notes all the time, I've always wondered, how does Salesforce manage to update Trailhead with all of these changes? I mean, that's a lot of content. It's got to take a huge team to be able to go through it all and make sure it's still relevant.
Yeah, there's a lot on Trailhead in case you haven't noticed. So there is a really wonderful team who actually manages the Trailhead product and system, and then also another team who does the content. And so they work hand in hand. And every time there's a release, they go through and they make sure that they update all of the content that is related and needs updating. There's also at the same time a really big effort to kind of edit some of the edit down some of the content, because, you know, in the very beginning of Trailhead, the whole idea was like, let's just get a bunch of stuff on there. Let's get as many learning like modules on there as we possibly can. And so, I mean, I wrote Trailhead content, like everybody I know was like, okay, we're writing stuff to like help people. And some of that stuff is old and it's legacy and it doesn't make sense anymore. And so we've really been going, that team, I cannot take credit. I've helped on a little bit of auditing, but really it's not me. But that team has done a very good job of trying to go through and get rid of old stuff, update stuff that needs to get updated. They've retired quite a few badges. And yeah, it's a constant effort. And I will tell you, internally at Salesforce, we use Trailhead for enablement. So like all of our sales folks use Trailhead as the way to get up to speed with all of the products and where things are at. And there is, you know, there's always kind of an interesting like gap, right, between what you know, the executives get on stage at Dreamforce and Trailblazer DX and talk about, you know, Einstein GPT, and people are like, where's the Trailhead for it? Like, well, you can't actually use it yet. So there is no Trailhead for it, because there's always kind of a little bit of a gap there. So sometimes if you're hearing some new announcement, you're like, that's great, let me go learn about it on Trailhead. And it's not there. It's because like, this is kind of a very future looking, forward looking thing that we are still figuring out how to make it Trailhead available. Right. So.
Yeah, thank you, Julia. I have a question regarding the 4 core responsibilities. So yeah, I didn't catch the second one. Can we revisit that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. Here, let me pull up the slide here.
Yeah, I definitely can see the correlation between these 4 and the study materials I'm going through, right? It's teaching us about user management, security, and data.
Yeah. So here, let me do this. So yeah, so we've got, sorry, my computer is angry at me today. Okay. So the supporting users, so the question was the 3rd and 4th one.
And the second one and the 4th one.
Yeah. So managing data. So this is one of the core responsibilities that kind of came out. So when we talk about managing data, this is things like, how are you doing, like what is the integrity of your data? What's the quality of your data, right? How are you setting up the system to make sure that you're not getting duplicates, that you're not getting bad data? Because you got to make sure, and who is accessing the data, who needs what kind of data? And then that's really related to number 4, right? Because then it's delivering the actual analytics based upon that data. So if you've got bad data, you're not going to be able to deliver really good analytics. And so when we're talking about that, it's like, cool. So we can set up, you know, everything from importing data from other systems, doing data quality checks. And then, okay, what kind of reports are you building to kind of get those insights and get those dashboards so that the people that your users that you're supporting can actually use that data and interact with it and make decisions. So whether that's talking about where the business is going, or how a certain customer is experiencing something, or how much time it's taken to respond to a customer inquiry. That's kind of the story there. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you. Definitely. I understood now. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. No, it's a great question. Thank you for asking.
I did have another question. If I don't ask it, I'm gonna go nuts. Gotta ask. These are great the way you outlined all these different skill sets, like project management, business analysis, etc. Salesforce has, relatively recently introduced a business analysis certification. Do you think they might do the same with product management or any of the other skill sets?
I will never rule it out because Salesforce is a constantly evolving company. I will say that the business analysis cert kind of was a thing that flew under the radar for a while, and then we released it and people really liked it. To show our org chart a little bit, so the business analysis persona actually is part of our admin persona group. And so because there's so much like shared responsibilities, shared experiences, shared skills there, that we really think that serving both of those personas with the same kind of approach and the same team is going to be very helpful. And then out of that, like, who knows? I've been having all kinds of discussions about like, we may need some more like specialization of within that kind of admin umbrella of things like product management, of things like data analysis. So who knows? But yeah, I mean, if you've got thoughts about that, like, please share them, because I will tell you, most of everything that we do in that space is based on feedback that we get from the community. So if you think that's something that would be valuable, like, please share that with me. And like, that's how these things happen.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Gillian. Sorry, thank you so much for the presentation, and it's really a perfect time for me to listen to stuff like this. So when you are going through your presentation, you talk about the 14 skills, and you said we should not include all of them on our resume. So as a rule of thumb, like, how many will you recommend? What range will you recommend to be on the resume to put out there? Thank you.
Yeah. So great question. I think focusing on the ones that, number one, you think are the most interesting, and number two, you want to continue to do in your career, right? I don't have a hard and fast number. I would say like 5-ish, maybe. But it kind of has to weave together to a story, right? So let's say you are looking to get a Salesforce admin role that, you love working with data and you want to do more stuff with data. So I would do data analysis, data management, maybe some UX on my user experience, because that will put together kind of a very robust, like, again, bucket. I don't know, I'm in a bucket mood today. Bucket of skills that kind of really make sense together and paint a picture of like, hey, this is the area that I want to specialize in. Because if you list all 14, it's going to be like, okay, so you could, it's like I have a really old printer behind me, and it can copy and it can scan and it can print, but it doesn't do any one of those things very well, right? Like, it's like it's an all-in-one, but it kind of sucks at each thing. So you really want to present like yourself in a way that says, I am focused and I can do a lot, but all of those things that I can do are kind of working towards this one specific, like overall kind of skill, overall kind of specialty, overall kind of goal. Is that helpful?
Very, very helpful. Thank you so much.
Of course.
I have one last comment. It's still about the Trailhead. I know this because this is such a wonderful tool. So Trailhead is like, my feeling is like it's really just about Salesforce, right? Everything about Salesforce. And my thinking is like, because like now you're open up to like a business analyst, and maybe there are some potentially like for different other skills, right, to learn for people. Maybe there is some like a more generic topic people can learn, and a skill not only limited to Salesforce, but it can be transferable to other job, which probably will be extending Trailhead to people not only in this ecosystem, to other type of job, but they can learn skills not only for Salesforce, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So actually there's already quite a bit of content on Trailhead that is Salesforce agnostic. So like we have there's like a Drucker school, like MBA light program kind of thing on there. There's a lot of content around project management. There's a lot of content around Agile. content around like business process mapping. So there's quite a bit of content on there right now that could be useful to you no matter what like system you're working in or what profession you're in. I do think there's probably going to be more coming. I know one of the things that kind of a team is focusing on is helping people become better sales professionals, you know, whether you're sales and using Salesforce or not. Of course, we want you to use Salesforce, but like providing that kind of beyond the technology, what are the skills that are going to help you be successful? So there's, if you notice, especially in the last couple of years, there's been a lot more Salesforce agnostic content that has gone into Trailhead. And I'm happy, like after this, I can put together a list of some of that and share it with you if you'd like to.
That's awesome to know. Like I didn't aware like that much, but it's good to know. Yeah, for sure, to explore. Thank you. Yeah. Any other questions? I will say great presentation. Thank you so much, Gillian, like for your time. Yeah.
Very welcome.
Really
You're very
appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And I'll make a shameless plug before I leave of two things. Number one, if you haven't checked out Salesforce Plus yet, it's all video content from Salesforce that's very focused and fun. And there's a show that's happening right now that a new episode was just released yesterday called How I Solved It. And it's featuring like real people like yourselves actually showing a solution that they've built in Salesforce. And it's really, I host it. It's really fun. We get a little silly, but they're all like 10-minute episodes and you do get something out of it. Like yesterday was Prina showing a whole solution that she built with CRM analytics and app builder. So it kind of stretches your ideas a little bit, but we've got this season is halfway over. We've got, I think, 3 more episodes coming out every Wednesday at 10 our time. And then the other thing is the podcast. If you haven't listened to the Salesforce Admins podcast, please, please, please check it out. Some really wonderful content and stories on there. Mike and I host, either Mike or I host every episode, or sometimes we host together, and that comes out every Thursday. So I will happily plug both of those in the chat in just a moment. But thank you all so much for having me. Thank you for inviting me. And it's wonderful to connect with some Ottawan and beyond community members. So if you ever have any questions or feedback, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'm very accessible. Gbruce at Salesforce. I'm also all over Twitter. I love hearing from you. So please, please don't hesitate.
Thank you,
Thank
Gillian.
you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. All right. So in the next 1 hour, so I'm going to speak about some of the new features from the Salesforce Spring 2023 release. And just quickly share my screen. Give me a minute. Okay, so Spring 2013 already been deployed into production, and a lot of feature has been released this time. Some of the feature, this is just from my personally experience, and some of the feature are already starting to using it in my day-to-day job. I will talk about quickly about these 6 features I'm being interactive with in the past couple months, and I feel like it's really easy to get on, and also it will be supercharged for admin and for users to get more productivity done and overall. So without further ado, let's get started. So this presentation will be just I will do a hands-on, like a real in org, like to demo it. The first one is called a dynamic form for lead and case. Dynamic form was introduced a couple releases ago, but in the latest release, this feature has been extended to lead and case or object. Currently, it's also available for all the account opportunity, all the standard and the custom object as well. So quickly, the demo is here. So when we talk about the dynamic form, what is it? So when we are looking at a page layout, usually this is the page layout that we are looking at in a typical, like for example, this is the lead record. So when you want to changing the field, right, on the page layout, previously what you have to do is you have to go to the object. Right, you have to go to the page layout. You have to go to the page layout. You want to modify what's the field on the page layout in order to make the change for this particular like location and section on the detail page. Dynamic form is it's a game changer in my mind. So what you can do is like everything can be controlled in one place where dynamically change the field. Quickly example, but this feature need to be active. You go to the Lightning page, Lightning app builder of the lead record. You go to the detail page. You click on the detailed section. If you haven't enabled it, you will see a button like this called upgrade now. Let's do it live now. Upgrade. So I want to upgrade the lead layout into dynamic form enabled. So you will see a different popping up on the page. You see all the fields are individually can be removed, can be modified. But that means, like, for example, I want to add a new field on this page without touching the page, without touching the old page layout. What I can do is there is a section called field. You can just go to the field. Let's say if I want to find SIG code, I want to adding it to here. So on the fly, you can changing the field, adding a field on the page layout. You can also control, okay, this is a read only for the page, or this is a required. Let's make it a required for on the page. So what happens is just I save it without touching, okay, active. Look at the page layout, it's now changed. Let's go back, make it an org default. Save it. Now I go back to the record page. I'm going to refresh. Bam, the SIG code field is here. So you can also, when you modify, you will see there is a star, red star beside it. It's a required field on the page layout. So dynamic form basically it override the classic page layout. You can do page layout within the Lightning app builder. Another very powerful feature is you can also dynamically showing the field. What I mean by that is like you can set the field visibility based on the let's say based on the lead status. Let's say if the lead status is working, this SIG code field will be showing up.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So this is Harry. I like this feature and it's pretty neat. But one thing that I've encountered and I have to remind myself is once I start using this Lightning page setup,
Mhm.
the page layout doesn't do you any good. So if you make changes on the page layout or you add new fields, you have to make sure that you come back here and take things. And there's nowhere that really tells you this Lightning page is being used versus the page
That is-
layout. So you have to kind of remember that. And I've had to catch myself a few times when I've run into when I've been doing this. So.
Yeah, that is correct. So basically right now, I believe because this is a new functionality, my feeling is like it's the old page layout and the Lightning page are redundant, like doing the same work, right? From two different places. My feeling is like one over time, the old page layout will be, retired. Everything will depending on the Lightning page. That's just my guess. But so far, you do have to have a very clearly instruction on where to change and keep a track of that for sure.
Yes.
Can I ask a question? Harry, I'm glad you brought that up because I was just thinking the exact same thing. So if you add, say, the SIC code in the page layout, and let's say in the dynamic page, you had a filter, and based on what whatever the lead status was, I think was what you would put in there. Would the fields show up on the page layout and be effective for anybody to open and use, even if the status was not equal to whatever the condition was?
So once you activate this page, you have to turn the activation off to go back to the page layout. What I call the classic page layout. Once you've activated it, you're actually using this page, and whatever you did on the page layout is, really irrelevant.
Okay, so you're saying this overrides the.
It overrides it, yeah. So even if you put, like, for example, just a bad case is if you put the SIC code on both the page layout and you put it on the, the Lightning page layout, and then you can definitely confuse yourself worse. The filter that you've added to the Lightning page actually, in my case, would help me remember that I've done this on the Lightning page. But the activation is the override, I believe.
Yeah, it will override the old page layout setting as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
If I can add, just sorry, go ahead first. Sorry.
I was just going to ask, so you guys explained that it breaks the link between the Lightning page and the classic page layout, in that if both pages have the SIC code and you put a filter of the field visibility filter on the Lightning side, it won't have any effect on the classic side, right?
It will affect.
It will affect the visibility. So even in the page layout. So if you flip to classic view on a record,
that's a good question.
Will you see the effect of that?
No, it won't have any effect on the classic UI.
Right.
Because classic UI is leading just layouts, and Lightning UI will respect dynamic pages if you configure it this way.
Right.
And also, if this is important security field that nobody can see, by hiding it on Lightning page, don't hide it on reports and other things and list views and things like that. Don't use Lightning page visibility as your security mechanism.
No, definitely not. Yeah. So you're saying, if I may, I just want to understand in my mind, once you start using dynamic forms on the Lightning side, there's a break with the page layout that's done, right? And there are two separate entities at that point. They affect different views of the same record, but a change done on one side does not necessarily affect the other side.
Yes, my feeling is like currently, if you are enable the dynamic form on the Lightning, the classic page layout assigned to the Lightning will become a little bit irrelevant.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So technically, it's the turning on of the activation that decouples, not the just filling out the form. It's the activation.
Activation.
And then the activation you can control. Sorry, the activation you can control who sees it. So you could still use the page layout for some users. It gets a little bit messy, but
yeah.
I see.
But this, I think what is important to understand that you get more options now with Lightning pages and how they are activated per default org, per application, or per record type and application and other things. What gives you opportunity that you can have Lightning page that use old-fashioned layouts as one version, and you give it to one group of users by activating just for these users or this application, and then you create copy of it, and then you activate dynamic pages and you give it just to another group of users to use it this way because it makes more sense. But now you have, as admin, you have to think about when you open it to know which one is managed with what. And but in configuration of the page, they give you those hints that you understand.
That makes a lot of sense, Nash. I have a follow-up question for you guys, though. I've had a use case often to try and figure out who sees what. And one of my go-tos is to go to the page layout assignment and determine what profile is seeing what view of a record. Do they have anything to support that kind of an overview or summary on the?
Yes, yes, they have it. It's not the most prominent visible, but when you go to activations, they're supposed to, you will supposed to see somewhere button or link to see who can see it, something like that. But it's not here on this page. It would be on when you activate something.
So if you click on the activation, you'll see it from there. Once you click on the activation field, and then I think it's on the app. It's one of those app page layouts.
Who is clicking on the page? Who is sharing the screen?
That'd be you.
Yeah, me.
Yeah, if you go to activation button, you instead of trying to set up visibility. Behind the same
at the top
button,
the top left, top right hand,
yeah. On this page somewhere here it is.
So based on what you have, so based on what your activation level is, if you go back in this particular case and click on org default, it's probably set to org default. Yeah, so that here you have it as org default. You have to go to either app default or app and record.
Click on check your assignments, but link, go back to org default. Click on check your assignments button. This is where you can figure out who see what. It's not, it's very hidden link in the pages, but now you can figure out who is using which page, or if you have more than one. If you have just one, then it's easy. You open just activation and it's there. But if you start complex setups, you use this to figure out.
Gotcha. Thanks, guys.
I got one more question on this. Obviously, this is a very interesting feature. Actually, two questions. Did you say leads, and what was the other object you?
Case.
Pardon? Case? Oh, okay, so those are the only two objects. And my second question was.
No, their account opportunity already enabled the last sprint.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought. Okay. So the other question is, it doesn't allow you to have like 3 columns versus like right now, the page layout, you can only have 1 column or 2 columns. Do you have the flexibility with the page layout, not with the page layout, but with the dynamic form to be able to put 3 fields in on one line? No,
I don't know the answer for that.
I suspect not.
Yeah, probably not.
Sorry, what was the question?
He is asking, can you put a 3 column on here? Like for example, the lead information, we have 2 columns. Can you have 3 columns in the section?
Or in one line of the form, you can have 3 fields on this. Well, you know, sometimes there's certain fields that are dependent. It'd be nice to be able to sort of group them based on the dependency of the, you know, whether the person enters this field, then they should also enter this and this and this.
I'll go back to edit page. We can try. You know,
I think there's a set the page layout. Yeah, you have.
It's not that it's not that critical. I don't think there is. I just was curious.
So this you see here, 2 columns, 1 column. So
Yeah, okay. So it
yeah.
is just 2 columns. Okay.
2 columns, yeah. You can put it into 1 column like this on the fly. You can put a 2 column. But that's the only option right now for the
Okay.
yeah. Okay. Any other question? Yeah.
So
quickly, it's like you can also based on, you can control the field visibility based on any criteria on field, and also other criteria you can base on is like more like, you know, based on user profile, based on their role, user role, anything like you can you can think about from based on like a custom permission they have. Yeah, all this stuff can control the visibility of very individual field on the page layout on here.
I've got one more question related to that, if it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm hearing that there's a break between how the data then translates between the classic and the new. And to me, it sounds like that could be introducing security issues if you think something in the old is filtered in, you know, certain way, where something in the new is filtered and there's no connection between the two. Isn't there an issue there? Or am I not looking at this?
No, it's not issue. Field level security is respected in dynamic pages.
Okay.
If you have it set up, it will be respected. Those fields won't be visible in dynamic pages. Ones that are visible, you have now additional options to hide them if it's not appropriate for the user who is going to work with this page. But database security and rules that are in Classic, they are all carry over to Lightning. There is no changes on this.
Okay, thank you very much for clarifying that.
Awesome. Yeah, so this is the first. The second feature I'm looking at, this one is quick, should be quick. View all for dynamic related list. So let's jump into the org, take a look at what is it about. So on an account record, so you will see, okay, there are a lot of related lists, right? Account related contact opportunity case. So now you will have a review all on this. You can have everything to be showing up in here. You can have like more up to, I remember, up to 200 records showing up in the related list. Also, what you can do is there is a filter. You can put on filter, for example, I want to see all the opportunity are close one. You can just add in a filter in here, close one, apply on the fly. It will give you a filtered by stage here and showing you okay, only I only want to say close one opportunity. Another thing you can do with a dynamic related list is let's say an example. So you can go to you can create multiple different related lists for opportunity. You can show in a related list for open opportunities. You can show in a related for close one opportunity. You can have another related list called lost opportunity. Basically, you are not only limited to only one related list for each object. Now you can have multiple, and the administrator can configure based on the filter on the records, related records. By doing that, you can have related list single. I can pop up here. I'm going to have opportunities. Enhance option, enhance list. Dynamic release list. I'm going to upgrade. What you can do right now is, for example, I want to say closed one. You can type in a label specifically for the filter you apply onto the related list and save it. Active. Set an org default just for the easy for the demo. Go back to the account now. Refresh the window. See, on the fly, I created a filtered related list beside the existing related list for the opportunity. You can filter by the oh, I didn't do the filter here.
Could you show us that filter? I just want to see if that's set by the administrator.
Pardon me?
When you set a filter like this, is it set by the administrator and then like locked? So the end user.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
There we go. That filter. Nice.
Yeah, so this one is locked on the page. So basically, you can have multiple different filtered related lists showing to your users just for the easy visibility. Yeah. So if no question, we can move on to the next one called the dynamic action for standard object.
I'm sorry, I was talking,
Yeah.
I had it on mute. Can
yeah,
you
go
just
ahead.
go back for a second onto that, what's it called, dynamic related list?
Yep.
Can you also, for example, the example you said, this is all for closed lists. Can you remove the stat or stage on that list? You know what I mean? Like can you add and remove fields that are on the standard related list, but on that dynamic one?
You
know what I
mean
mean?
you mean the column here, right?
Yeah, the columns. Yeah, can you?
I mean, say I believe so. Yeah, you can remove here. See this?
Oh, okay.
I just removed.
So I think you're absolutely right. I think they're going to rule out eventually the page layout.
Yeah, you can put adding new on the fly, different column. Yeah.
Okay.
When they get rid of classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's
the
very, very
classic
true.
related list is very like fixed, right? Nothing to.
You forget that people still use classic.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, I'll shut up and let you go.
Just the old retiring guys.
All right, so next one is the dynamic action for standard object. So this one, I love this feature. So what it about is dynamic action. So quickly, the action, you probably already, everybody knows what action, the quick action on each record page, right? You have edit, you have this kind of all the buttons, and also you have a load button here. But in the old way, you can only show in like three buttons right now. So the dynamic action is like you can enable this dynamic action in the highlight column, in the highlight panel. Let me go here. I'm going to do the changing on the fly. So when you click on highlight the highlight panel, you will be able to say, okay, you want to update the dynamic action. So yes, I want to update now, upgrade now. And I want migration. So keep my existing settings. Let's keep simple for the account layout. Then you see, okay, we have 3 by default. That's previously setting. We have 3 buttons. I want to see 6 buttons. In this case, it will give me 6 buttons now. I want to change in the order of the actions without going back to the old page layout to do all the like configure the buttons. I want to move this one up. You can do that on the fly. And yeah, so this is like a very to me, I feel like very magic happening, because previously when you're configuring the page layout, especially all the quick actions, a lot of like it's very fuzzy, very confused. Sometimes I feel like when you do the page layout all the way, one thing we can take a look on the lead is like, here is all the quick action, right? You don't have much control on here. You can drag and drop definitely from here. Also standard button between classic publisher. There are also mobile actions. There's like standard button. Pretty confused from my perspective. But now the new way for the dynamic action make it very easy, very visual. You can do it on the fly to changing it. So this is a generally available feature in Spring 2023. I believe all the orgs should have this feature now. You just simply can upgrade it on in your org. Next one. So I know there are a lot of features on Flow, but particularly I love this feature is because it's really helpful for people to read what's element about. Go back to the this is called the element description. Go into an org. So for example, go to the flow. So you see, like when you hover over your mouse over here, you will see, okay, what's this element about? The content of the text is from the description area. Where is the description? From here, the description area. So whatever you put here, either for yourself to make sense later on what you build, what you have built, all this will be helpful to other team member in your company to understand what's exactly without clicking into the details. For example, this one we don't have a hover over button. You can just go here, and I will put some testing. You see here, the testing will be showing up. Everything you put in the description to help you without clicking into each element. You can just go through the steps, the flow to say, okay, what each action does, and you can put as much as detail you want. It's an easy way to document in your flow and to understand what's going on with this build, helping yourself, your future self, and also helping other people to understanding the flow. So this is, yep.
Is this feature, you don't have to turn it on, it's automatically now there?
Yeah. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. It's called element description. Yeah. Next one is get a personalized report filter. So the use case for this one is pretty interesting. When we are creating a report, right? Like we had, for example, you have 5 different sales reps in your company. Everyone wants their own sales report. Like I want to be like, let's say opportunity report for each of the sales rep. What you previously we need to do is like we create a opportunity report for each one of them, and based on the opportunity owner. So opportunity owner equals to the person's name. That's all the way we are creating customized opportunity report for each different user. Now you can do is like just use the relevant relative value equals user and apply. So whenever you can share the same report with every user, every sales rep in your team. When they open up the report, they will only see the opportunity record. They are the owner, based on this single filter. So which is like save a lot of time to create a different report. Yeah.
I got a question. So
Yep.
the way I've handled this in the past was I always did this in the dashboard. Like if I had to create an individual report for each of the sales reps,
Mhm.
I always just created a dashboard and then they could just filter on the sales rep. But
Yeah.
if you did it that way, and now you're putting this filter on the report, I'm wondering how it would impact the dashboard, whether it would cause issues or whether it would still work.
A good question. I haven't. I didn't test.
Yeah,
it.
that's yeah.
But I'm assuming you can still leverage the report and the filter putting into the dashboard, because the dashboard is filtered based on the running user, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
You will need to test it in
Yeah.
order to see
Yeah,
that
yeah.
it works.
Yeah. You need to test it out. Yeah.
Because you have this, when you're setting dashboard, you can define who is running user, and if you say admin is running user, then you will see all data in your dashboard, and you can set up dashboard filters. If you say running user is user who is running, then your report is giving you just for this user. Problem is that you have twice same filter, but doesn't do anything actually in this user. But in dashboard, when you have admin running it, this filter in the report may take over admin because it's explicitly defined in the report. This is what you need to test, Kevin.
Any other questions? Yes, this one is pretty straightforward. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The user permission update. So this one is pretty important. I feel like I haven't read much of people mention about it. This is about the future user management, more specifically about the profiles. So Salesforce like officially announced, so they will be end of the permission on profile in spring 2026, and gradually starting from next year. So they are going to starting the work on this retirement for the profiles, permission on profile. What that means is profile will still be existing, but they are not get rid of profile completely. Profile will be still remaining to have the like user like logging hour, IP address, range, like record control, the record type, the default record type, like page layout assignment. The rest of the things like a system permission, field level security, we can go to, let's go to permission, field permission to take a look. So this is the profile currently. So controlling page layout, controlling field level security. This one controlling like custom app settings, app access type settings, record type settings, administrative permissions, user permission, and object permission. So all of these, most of these will be gone, will be removed from this profile setting. So what happens is you will need to prepare and create a lot of permission set, individual permission set to apply to your users. So fortunately, like there is already a tool available. It's a free migrating tool available on the App Exchange called the User Access and Permission Assistant. So this app is created by Salesforce. You can go to App Exchange. So this tool is already available, created by Salesforce. You can leverage this tool to analyze your existing user profile in your org and starting to understanding what need to be migrated into permission set in advance. And overall, like this will be remove a lot of complexity on profiles. So in the future, when you are looking at a profile, you will now see all this field level security will this whole section I believe will gone. Like all the field level security will be applied through individual permission set. Also all the object, all the system settings, system permissions, all the object permissions the whole section will be removed from profiles. So the profile will be only left like a session setting, password policy, login hour, this login IP address. Yeah, so this will be a huge change to a lot of org, because profile started from the day one in Salesforce, and it's getting. I remember from different company we work on is like, you have a lot of different custom profile for different team. So this is the opportunity for the future development is like simplify your setup and have some common use profiles for sales team. Then you can create a different permission set to apply to different functionality to different sales team. Like for example, SDR, sales rep, sales VP, they all have different access to object, to field, to like page layout, stuff like that. So everything will be like, there will be a lot of change for this one, I believe. Yeah. So go back to the slides. Yeah. So
yeah, just want to comment. I don't know there is security policies that's coming up. Are you going to cover this part?
Security policy?
Yeah.
Can you say that again?
Security policies are now new things that's coming with permission updates in the near future. My advice would be to wait for next release or release after until you start doing anything about this, because those policies are going to be, you're going to be able to simplify how you manage users and permission sets based on those policies, and you will be able to automate how you assign permissions based on the policy for the new users or existing users, when some of details are changed on the user record. It's going to, I believe it's going to simplify and make much easier user setup down the road, but just wanted to bring attention to everybody that there is another feature that came with this release and it still is in beta. I think it's closed beta, but they explained in the release notes what these policies are. And if you are planning to do anything about this, take a look at this new thing.
Is that any documentation about that anywhere available?
Yeah, in release notes you can search for policy.
Okay, it's good to know.
Policy management or something like that. User policy, I don't know on top of my head term, but
Maybe this is a good time for someone to step forward and make a look into it and make a presentation at a future user group meeting.
yes, in the future it's going to be useful because it's closed beta. Not everybody has access to it to play with it. And I'm expecting the next release is going to be beta, but means we will be able to do something with it. And then we can see more about it. But
So
because
could I
it-
ask a quick question about this now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so it sounds like the profiles had a useful purpose, right? So you could apply the same characteristics to a bunch of users that were associated with that profile. And is there something else that's going to replace that? Is that what the policies does now?
No, it is going to be combination of permissions and permission groups.
So
Because-
permission groups are really going to become what we
Yeah.
used to be. Okay. that's what I
Permission
wanted to
groups
hear.
is going to combine your permissions for the group, and then you need to come up with your strategy. What is the reusable permission set that you can apply to different groups when it's needed?
Okay.
It's some level of thinking you need to apply to how you're going to approach all of this. Problem with profiles so far was that they are very dependent on everything else in the org, and when you try to deploy in your pipelines, when you do DevOps, when you try to deploy profiles, most of the time it's big. It doesn't want to hitting the limits, or it has so many dependencies that you're not able to put in one deployment, and they are trying to scale down profile use of the profiles and to give us different, more scalable approach that is used for deployments and those things.
Okay.
But yeah,
That's good. You've answered my question because I missed that bit about the user group being really offering most of that same functionality. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. And I imagine like this will be a good opportunity for any org to deep dive into their user access and to simplify one way you can simplify the permission is like have a baseline permission set applied to everybody, every user, and then have more specialized permission set groups contain different visibility, accessibility, and to different group as needed. But from what we read here is like we know the profile will be still available. Like for example, page layout will still be using because page layout assignment still is associated with profiles, and the default record type will still be assigned by profiles. Yeah, big change coming. Never lack of work.
This is called job security on Salesforce. Who has job?
Yeah. Okay, so this is all the features I'm planning to talk about. So with the remaining time, let's see we have some announcement for the future meetings. The April meeting will be at April 27th. This will be led by Sandy. He already secured like 2 speakers. If you want to talk about this one a little bit, Sandy, go ahead.
Sure, absolutely. So this is going to be a virtual meeting for this one. How I solved these, the presenter, Michael Collidner, is a fantastic presenter. He's got a nice dry wit about him. He's a pretty funny guy. And he had presented this session at Trailhead DX. So I'm looking forward to speaking with him. Now, the file sharing in Salesforce with Vishesh Singhal, that's with a relatively new offering on the App Exchange called Cloud Files, and he's going to walk us through various use cases for connecting documents from multiple sources and integrating in and out of Salesforce.
Very cool. Yeah, thank you.
So I'm going to jump in and I'll talk about the May and what
Hey,
I'm
yeah.
planning to do.
For sure.
In May's meeting, I'm going to probably do it the week of the 22nd. I'm not sure what day it's going to be that week. I might try to do it of what do you call it, hybrid, in person and virtual. If I know that I could get the space at Korea, but if somebody in the West End has an office that you could allow us to do it, let me know ASAP. Otherwise, I'll just go down to Korea again and we can do it in person. The topic areas, I'm still looking for some presenters. So some ideas that came out today on that security stuff that Nash was talking about. If anybody in this user group would like to make a presentation, whether it's on security or whether it's on something else that you're working on that you think that people would get value from, please get a hold of me. It'll save me trying to reach out to everybody and try to find some speakers. Otherwise, I'll end up going to the user group leaders have a database of presentations that we could go into, but we're always looking for some people to share what they're doing in their org. Anyways, that's all I need to say about that. I just wanted to let people know that if you're interested in making a presentation, just let us know.
Yeah, we actually, user group leaders prefer to have local members showcases what they do, how they do, share with us, and but we can learn from them. If you are one of those who likes to do something like this, feel free to connect. And I'm going to do June meeting. It's going to be at Pronto Forms in Kanata in hybrid mode. David Geller will give us some input on how we can use ChatGPT for Salesforce administrators, and Pat Vachon is my second presenter. He didn't give me details of what he is choosing to present to, but he told me that he has 3 options. When I learn more, you will know more. But anyhow, those are plans for us before we go to the summer break.
Yeah, looking forward. For sure.
What location did you say that June meeting would likely be at?
In North Kanata on Pronto Forms is a company
Okay.
just right of the March Road,
Yeah.
between March Road and Terry Fox.
Yeah, we will send out the detail shortly. Yeah. Any other questions? Any feedback? Hopefully, like everyone have enjoyed the presentation today and having some takeaway from the 2 hours. And you know, good to see everybody.
Good job, Joe.
Yeah, thank you.
It was good.
Yep.
Good
Thank you.
findings.
It's good.
All right. If
This was
no
very
other-
good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, if no other questions, we will have 10 minutes back. You know, the gift of time.
Okay.
All right.